In May of 2002, Columbia Pictures released the superhero film Spider-Man. It starred Tobey Maguire as Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, and Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin, Spider-Man's arch nemesis. The film was a huge success, setting box office records, and Toy Biz released a set of action figures based on the film. So in honor of Willem Dafoe returning to reprise his role in the upcoming film Spider-Man No Way Home, today we are looking at the superposable Green Goblin, here on KREED'S Collection. Hey, and welcome back to a very special episode of KREED'S Collection. Today we're checking out the superposable Green Goblin from the 2002 Spider-Man toy line by Toy Biz. The reason this episode is special is this is the first toy on KREED'S Collection from the 2000s. Also, since this is a vintage show, I've only featured toys that are at least 20 years old. But seeing as Willem Dafoe will be back as the Green Goblin in less than 2 weeks, and this toy is 19 years old, I figured I could make an exception. Of course, in the package you get the Green Goblin himself, his helmet, his Goblin glider, and a cool stand to put him on. Before we look at the back of the card, I do want to point out that the front art is pretty sweet with Spider-Man's eyes reflecting the Goblin. Here on the back of the card you can see an image of Spider-Man and the Green Goblin from the film, as well as a little blurb about Spidey. There's also instructions on how to put the Goblin on his glider and attach it to the base, as well as some of the other figures in the line right here. But now it's time to cut this guy out of the package. Nah, I'm just kidding. I've got another one open right here. Businessman Norman Osborn is the founder and CEO of the cutting-edge research company Oscorp. In pursuit of securing a government contract, Norman tests a highly experimental human performance-enhancing drug on himself. The test is successful, giving him superhuman strength and reflexes, but it also gives him an evil split personality known as the Green Goblin, who will stop at nothing to keep Norman on top. His evil deeds draw the notice of Spider-Man, and the two are instant enemies. And now that we know a bit more about the Green Goblin, let's take a closer look. Whether you love or hate this version of the Green Goblin, you cannot argue that this figure is spot on. It looks exactly like it looked in the film. The helmet and mask in particular are stellar. The sculpt work here is fantastic. All the details are spot on. You can see here on the side the ears look amazing, the cheekbones, has the molded teeth, and of course those horrible yellow eyes. The helmet is removable, so we'll take it off to reveal underneath a very nice sculpt of Willem Dafoe as Norman Osborn. This is actually an excellent likeness. They did a good job. And while we have the helmet off, we can go ahead and take a better look at it. As I've already said, the details are amazing. They did a fantastic job, and I really like how the helmet flares out on the back like this. Also, if you look inside here, you can see Norman's face molded in there, and that is pretty weird looking. The helmet pops back on no problem whatsoever, and the only real flaw in the figure is that when you turn him around, you can see Norman's head. Of course, in the film, this was all covered up, but that's okay. Modern figures would accomplish this with two different heads, but I kind of like the removable helmet. As we look at the body, this is not vac metal chrome. This is just really well applied paint. And you can see there are so many details that I don't even know where to begin. He has these great shoulder pads going into this gold accenting, all the nice texture on his forearms as well as his thighs. He also has the gold here on the sides of his legs and really cool knee pads going down into his shins. And just in general, all the details on this are amazing. They did a fantastic job with this figure, there is no doubt about it. Taking a look at this figure today makes me really anticipate the Goblin's return in Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think it's going to go a little something like this.
What is this place? Why, it's a whole nother universe for me to conquer. Free of that wall-crawling menace. There's no one to stop me now.
Think again, Gobby.
What?
It's me, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I followed you through the portal, and I'm gonna stop you.
Oh yeah? You and what army, webhead?
This one. I brought some friends this time.
What?
Come on, guys.
What is this?
The future. I can only hope. Now it's time to take a look at the Goblin's articulation. Here at the ankle, he does have an ankle rocker, which allows you to put him onto the glider much easier. He also has a segmented toe right here, so you can have him actually put his toe up and down like he's tapping it. His ankle also will point down as well as up. And then the Goblin also has double jointed knees. So you see here there's 2 pins, and that allows for butt kicking action. Then here at the thigh, he does have a swivel as well. And the hip is a ball joint, so of course it can flex out and around however you like. Here at the waist, he does have a swivel point, and you probably know that's maybe my favorite point of articulation. He also has an ab crunch right here. It's not the best, but it does add a little bit of posability. Here at the shoulder, he can go up as well as swivel out, and he also has a swivel point right here at his bicep. The elbow is double jointed just like the knee, so he can put his hand in all the way onto his chin if he wants to. He has a forearm swivel right below his elbow, and his wrist can also flex down and up, not to mention that he has segmented fingers, so his hand can be open or shut like a fist, and that is pretty sweet. Last but not least, the Goblin does have a ball joint neck, so he can look up and left and right, down, and that is it. That covers all 29 points of articulation for the Goblin. Now we're going to take a look at the Goblin's glider, which is one of the coolest accessories I have ever seen with any action figure. All the texturing here on the wings is outstanding. It looks like carbon fiber or some type of metal. It's really nicely done. And these are the stirrups where you put the Green Goblin on the pegs and he stands right there. You'll notice on the inside of his feet there are guns, which that's pretty neat. And then there's also guns here across the front. And if you look down in the middle, there's a missile right there ready to be launched. Another great detail are the pumpkin bombs here. In the movie, these would shoot up into the Green Goblin's hands. But I wanted to note that these aren't just on there. They're actually fully realized pumpkin bombs on the inside. They are not removable, but they are actual spherical sculpted pumpkin bombs that you can move around in the hole. Totally unnecessary, but awesome. You'll also note that the glider has a shape, in my opinion, that's very Batman-esque. And here on the bottom, the details just don't quit. You see missiles down here, all kinds of hydraulics, and that little thing that Spider-Man punched out in their first encounter that damaged the glider. Also, you'll notice that it is 2 separate pieces with a central point, so the wings pivot independently of each other right here on these little screws. That is pretty amazing. And you can see here there is a peg, and that is how you put it on the included stand. We'll look at that in a second, but first I'll show you how to peg the Goblin onto the glider. It's pretty simple. You just line the holes up, and there you go. The included stand with the Green Goblin came in 2 separate pieces, and you pop it together when you get it out of the box. To put the Goblin on the stand, you want to lift the wings up a little bit, slide it down, and then the wings will actually push down, and there's 2 teeth on the bottom that grab onto the stand. As you can see here, these 2 pieces grab that lip, and gravity pushes the wings down to ensure that it will not fall off. The copyright information on the Goblin is located on his inner thighs. 2002 Marvel the Movie, made in China. And then on the base you can see Spider-Man the character, 2002 Marvel, and the movie, 2002, made in China. And now for our He-Man size comparison. The Green Goblin is really not much taller than He-Man. I was surprised. I thought he'd be way bigger. And I have to say that he really looks like he would fit in on Eternia. He's kind of like a cross between Moss Man and Cobra Khan. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my toy retrospective for the superposable Green Goblin from the 2002 Spider-Man toy line by Toy Biz. I am super stoked for the return of the Green Goblin, and this toy seemed like it was the perfect one leading up to the new film. Going forward, I'll try to stick to toys that are at least 20 years old, but I'm sure you can understand why I wanted to make an exception for this one. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up, and if you have any thoughts, please leave a comment. I love reading and responding to them. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it, and it would help my channel grow. I do a retrospective on a toy from my vintage collection every Wednesday, so hope to see you next week and every week after, here on KREED'S Collection.